New to Revit? Start here. In this beginner-friendly tutorial, we will introduce to you BIM, meaning Building Information Modeling, and why Revit is the go-to software for architects, engineers, and designers, and we'll also let you know how Revit helps you create smarter buildings. But before we dive into Revit, let's talk about BIM. Unlike the traditional CAD software, which focuses on 2D drawings alone, BIM creates a digital representation of buildings that include geometry, materials, and even real-world data like cost and energy efficiency. This means that when you modify a design, every related view updates automatically. Views like the floor plan, the section, the elevations, the 3D perspective, with no more manual adjustments. Now, why use Revit? Well, Revit is one of the most powerful BIM tools that makes design smarter, faster, and more efficient. Here is a few reasons. Collaborations, multiple work time. Revit gives you multiple work time. Automation, generate schedules, quantities, and even construction documents with Revit instantly. The third one is visualization. Revit creates 3D views, sections, and even walkthroughs. Did you just open Revit and feeling lost and overwhelmed? Don't worry, in this tutorial, I'll guide you through the Revit interface, explaining where everything is and how to navigate like a pro. By the end of this series, you will know exactly where to find the tools, how to navigate different views, and how to set your workspace for maximum efficiency. Let's dive in. In this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to navigate the Revit interface. I'm going to be teaching you how to set your project in Revit. I'm going to be teaching you how to navigate the essential Revit shortcuts, and lastly, how to customize your workspace. So by the end of these sections, you will know exactly how to navigate the Revit interface as a new user or as a pro. When you first open Revit as a beginner, this is what the home screen looks like. And in this video, I'll be showing you how to navigate through the projects and the families to know what they're about and how to use them as a new user in Revit. Let's begin. I'm currently using an Autodesk Revit 2019, but it doesn't really matter the version you're using currently, especially as a beginner or new user in Revit, you will still achieve the same results. Let's proceed. I'll be explaining what the projects are on the home screen and what families are as well, and how you can use them in Revit. Under Project, you can see Open, which means opening an existing project file to access recent projects in Revit. If you've done a project in the past or recently in Revit, you would find your recent projects on the interface just as it is being displayed on the home screen. Once you click on the project, it automatically opens instead of going to the File Explorer to access or look for your project files. Under New, this is where you can start a new project, especially as a beginner who just got started with Revit, or as a pro user as well. The default structural and mechanical templates. They are templates you can use to create a new project in Revit. They are all the same, but they have different functions. The structural analysis is used for creating structural projects, and the mechanical templates are used for creating mechanical projects, but we will be using the default templates for this tutorial, which is also the architectural templates. Under families, you would see the family types on the home screen, which creates Revit groups and families of an element. For example, creating family type for doors, windows, and many more. Open means opening an existing Revit family file. New means creating a new Revit family file, and the new conceptual mass means creating a mass file in Revit. So basically, this is what the Revit home screen looks like. So from here, all you need to do is to create a new project in Revit. Let's do that. Let's start a new project. Firstly, click on New and then click on the drop-down arrow to select the template file you would want to work with. You would find the default, the structural and the mechanical templates, and then you pick the one you would want to work with, which is the default template, just as I said earlier. So when you click on it, it changes and if the template you want to use is not available, all you need to do is to click on browse and then go to the location where the template file you would want to use is and you load it. We are creating with project and not project file, but if you want to create a project file, you click on it and then it changes, but we would be using project. Then you click on OK and it takes you to the Revit interface. Before I proceed, after selecting the template you would want to use, for the new users, you would have to select the measurement type you want to work with, either metric or imperial. So I would like you to choose metric as a beginner. Once you click on metric, it automatically takes you to the interface where the magic happens. Now let's break down the main parts of the Revit interface. The first thing you would see on the interface is what we call the ribbon toolbar, which is on the top menu. This contains all modeling annotations and view tools that can be changed based on what you're working on. For example, if you want to work on wall, when you click on it, it automatically changes to what exactly you want to work on, which you can modify using the modify tools. If you click on door, it also changes to what you want to work with, which you can edit, create and view as well. So it automatically changes based on what you're working on. The next one is what we call the properties panel, which is on the right side of the Revit interface. This contains or shows the settings for the selected objects, for dimensions, materials, and other attributes that can be found on the properties panel. You can see the scale, the color scheme, underlay, and more. This properties panel simply contains the settings of objects. For example, if you're working on a floor plan and then you want to change the door or edit the door, once you click on door, it shows you the settings of that door, everything that door or the object contains, which you can edit to your taste. The next one is the project browser, which is on the left side of the Revit interface. This is called a table of contents. This contains views, sheets, levels, windows and door schedule, legends, families, groups, elevations. As you can see, the ceiling plans, the floor plans, and the site plan. So this is basically a table of contents of the project you're working on. The next one is what we call the Revit workspace, which is where you build your project, whether in 2D or 3D. This is what it looks like, and this is where the magic happens. Space, so you can play around it. This is where you can do whatever you like. It's like a free workflow where you can exercise your creativity and do whatever thing you want with it, either on 3D or. Now that we understand the interface, let's talk about how to navigate within your project browser. First of all, because this is a new project and nothing has been done, I'll be opening an existing project just to show you how to navigate within your views in Revit as a beginner. Then in subsequent videos, I'll be showing you how to start creating a project floor plan in Revit Beginners Edition. So let's begin. Firstly, you will need to click on the file on the ribbon toolbar, which is on the top menu, and then click on open. You would see all options and then click on project, and it automatically takes you to your file explorer where you get to choose the file or project you would want to work with. You can click on documents, computer, desktop, favorite, but I'll be clicking on documents, and then you click on the file you would want to open and then click on open. Once you open the existing project, you can zoom in and zoom out using your mouse cursor to see what you're doing. But if you're not using a mouse and then you want to zoom in or zoom out, don't panic. All you need to do is to highlight the floor plan and then right click. Once you right click, you would see zoom in region, zoom out and zoom to fit. So you click on zoom to fit and it automatically zooms to fit everything on the workspace. So whichever method you would want to use, it will still give you the same result as well. So let's go to the 3D and I'll show you how to rotate or move your 3D view as a beginner or as a pro user. Cube on the Revit workspace, which is on the right hand side, is what you would use to rotate your 3D view. It is called the 360 view cube, which you can use to rotate your 3D view to the left, right, front and back. All you need to do is just to click on a particular side and then drag the view cube Once you drag the view cube, the 3D after rotating your 3D view and you want to go back to your floor plan, I'll show you how to do that. But this is depending on the software version you're using. Like I said, if you're using Revit 2019 and below, you won't find this tool view or shortcuts on your workspace. So you can either click on the ground floor plan to show you the ground floor, then you click on the natural ground level to show you the natural ground level. But like I said earlier, if you don't have the option on your workspace, all you need to do is to go to your projects browser. Under the floor plans, you see the ground floor level, the natural ground level, the roof plan, the site plan, and all you need to do is just to click on the ground floor level and it takes you to the view you want. And for the site, you click on it as well and it opens automatically on your workspace. Now that you understand how to navigate views within your project, let's talk about the essential navigating shortcuts in Revit. We all know what shortcuts are. They are abbreviated words used to make things faster for you. Just as we have shortcuts in the English words, we also have shortcuts in Revit. And mastering the Revit shortcuts will make your work in Revit faster and easier. Here are a few most known Revit shortcuts. So these are some of the basic Revit shortcuts I'll be teaching you in this video. The first shortcut is what we call the ZX, which means zoom to fit. This shortcut helps to fit the work on the center of the workspace. As you can see on the screen, the project is on the center. This is what the ZX does. It helps to zoom to fit the project on the workspace. The next shortcut we'll be looking at is what we call the ZE, which means zoom extents. As you can see on the screen, the plan view is zoomed already. The ZE fits everything on the screen. As you can see, it looks big and visible without you having to strain your eyes or feeling stressed on how to get the details you need when working. The next shortcut we are looking at is what we call the WT, which means the tile view. Once you click on the tile view, the tile view helps you to split screens, making it a double workspace, no longer a single workspace. As you can see on the screen, we have the site and the ground floor plan together. You can adjust and work on them simultaneously without having issues. This is what the tile view does. The next shortcut is what we call the VG, which means the visibility settings. Once you click on it, it leads you to the VG option. It basically turns elements on and off depending on what you want to turn off. You can see the air terminals, the aerials, the cable tray fittings, and more. If you don't want them on, you can turn them off. And when you're done, you click on apply or OK, but I'm going to turn them on. And you can actually scroll all the way down to see some other elements that are turned off as well by default. So you turn them on or off, the ones you want to be turned on, and after that you click on apply and OK, and it automatically reflects on your workspace. The next one is what we call the DI, which is the dimension shortcut. Once you click on the shortcut, the menu shows on the ribbon toolbar, as you can see. So we have different dimension types, namely the angle, the linear, the angular, the radial, the diameter, the arc length, the spot elevation, the spot coordinate, and the spot slope. So I'll show you how to do a basic dimension quickly. All you need to do is to click on the angle dimension, then click on the wall edges or faces to give you the dimensions. And then after clicking on the faces or the wall edges, like I said, you shift outwards to place the dimensions outside your plan. As you can see, I won't be going into details on this because I'll be extensively teaching you how to dimension properly in my subsequent videos. So this is how to go about the dimensions. The next shortcut we'll be looking at is what we call the AL, which is the align tool. This align tool helps to align uneven walls in Revit, and I'll be showing you how to do that. AL, the rectangular and square symbol shows on the mouse cursor, and then as you can see on the screen, to align the projected wall on the screen, just click on the edge of the inner wall. So you click on the edge of the projected wall, and then the wall will automatically align with the inner wall, as you can see on the screen. The next shortcut is what we call the WA, which is the wall. As you can see on the screen, once you click on it, the wall loads, showing you the tools that you can use to place your walls on the screen using the modify tool, which is on the ribbon toolbar. If you want to pick walls, create cellular walls, create circumcised polygon, square shaped walls, and many more. Just click on the one you want and then the next shortcut we'll be looking at is what we call the LI, which means the line tool. You can also, once you click on it, you will see the line, modify place lines. This is where you pick the type of line you would want to use in your project, which are beyond, demolish, center line, overlay. I'll also be explaining the uses of these, how you can use them in your floor plan, in your working drawing and all whatnot in my subsequent videos, so stay tuned. The next shortcut is what we call the Ctrl C, which we all know as the copy tool. Click on the element you would want to copy and then you type Ctrl C. It also means you've copied it. Shortcut for paste is what we call Ctrl V. Now type Ctrl V and then click on that particular place you want to place your element and the element automatically places. So that's how to copy and paste elements in Revit very fast. In this session, I'm going to be teaching you how to make Revit work for you by customizing your Revit interface to fit your workflow depending on how you want it to be. So let's get into it. Let's start with the project browser and the property browser. Initially, as a first-time Revit user, the property browser or the project browsers are usually on the same side, which is on the left side. But if you're not convenient with that, if you're not comfortable, you can adjust it, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So all you need to do is just to go to the properties browser, which is, as you can see, mine is already separated. So you just go to the property browser on the right hand side and click on it and drag it. Once you drag it, it is called docking. Once you drag it, make sure there is a transparent square shape when you are about making placements. As you can see on the screen, it means it is ready for placement, and then you click on it and place it. But if it doesn't show you that, it means you can't place it yet. Until you see that transparent square shape, then you can place it correctly. As you can see, having both on the same side is not really nice. So to separate them the way it was before, just click and drag to the right and make sure the transparent square shape shows before making placement. It is called docking, and then click on it. It automatically places, as you can see. Then you can now adjust the arrow forward or backward depending on how you want it to be. The same thing for the project browser. You can extend in or out depending on what. So as you can see on the screen now, we now have both the properties and the project browser on each side. So let's say your property or project browser is missing and you don't know how to go about it. I'll show you how to do that. All you need to do basically is to go to the view icon on the ribbon toolbar. Once you go to the view, you will see user interface. You click on the drop down arrow, you would find all view tools that you would need, and then if I untick the project browser, it will disappear, as you can see on the screen. Same thing goes for the property browser. Then the workspace becomes empty. But to turn them on, all you need to do is to go back to the user interface and tick them again, and you will turn them on again, and then you see that the Revit browser and the property. The last thing I'll be showing you on this series is how to save your project or work as a beginner in Revit. Because this project has already been saved and renamed as Oscar Low Income, as you can see on the screen, if you're working on a project that has not been saved or renamed, all you need to do is to save and rename it yourself, and I'm going to be showing you how to do that. All you need to do is to click on Ctrl+X, which is save. That is the shortcut for save. But because mine has been saved and renamed, it won't say I should save or rename. But if you've not saved yours before, like I said, as a new user, you'll be asked to rename and then save your work. Then you give it a name that best suits you, depending on the project you're working on, so you won't misplace or forget what you saved it with. Then if you don't use that shortcut, you can also click on the square like icon on the ribbon toolbar, which is on the left hand side, and then just follow the steps I said earlier, and you would save and rename your project. Now you know how to navigate Revit as a beginner. If you found this series helpful, help me to hit the like and subscribe button for more beginner tutorials.